I mean, you're talking about how you change. I mean, in this, End of Days, you're playing a much more flawed character than we've ever seen before. It starts off, you're suicidal, you're an alcoholic. Did you enjoy playing that? Did you enjoy that switch to being vulnerable instead of kind of invincible?
I loved playing the character of Jericho in End of Days. I think it was terrific. I thought it was great. It was well written because I started suicidal, and you don't know in the beginning of the movie what the outcome is going to be. You don't know if I'm the hero or not. No. Am I going to be possessed by the devil because I'm so vulnerable?
You were
right,
yeah.
Exactly. So it has a lot of twists, and people that they like to have interesting stories where you can think all the way through, rather than being told in the first, act of who is the hero and who is the villain.
Well, you've got him here as kind of, I mean, it could be a coincidence that in End of Days, the devil is a Wall Street banker. And in a recent film, Devil's Advocate, remember, Al Pacino was a lawyer as Satan. Right. Can we assume Satan is a white-collar professional?
He could be. He could also be, an agent.
Actually, I'd favour that as an answer.
I was hanging out with my agent a lot before I did the shooting of the movie to get used to hanging out with the devil. Yeah. But no, I think that it was a really good idea to have him be a banker, a sleazy banker. Mm. That was played by Gabriel Byrne, who did a terrific job. He's unbelievable in his strength and all that stuff. It was really well played. So
but he's quite relaxed as well. He's not sort of in your face evil. He's actually quite a charming sort of chap.
He's terrific because he can turn on the charm in the movie when he wants to seduce the girl, because the important part is that he's looking for his bride that he has picked 20 years ago, and there's this great birth there at the beginning of the film, and then 20 years later he comes back and he's looking for her. And he doesn't quite know where she is. He just knows who it is, but he doesn't know where she is. And then eventually when he finds her, the seduction he puts on there is really unbelievable. Yeah.
Why do you think the spawn of Satan is always American-born these days?
Well, I mean, what do you want him to do? I mean, you couldn't have him been born in London and come out of the river Thames, because there's nothing alive coming out of that river anyway.
Yeah.
As far as
well, no, actually, 2 years ago they got a salmon out of there. I think they put it in, but...
I love that.
Apparently there was a salmon in there.
No, but you're one. That's a record. We should put it in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I think it might be in there.
No, but I mean, I think it is because, New York is obviously the center of financial power. And what one assumes is that is already the financial, the Wall Street and all this manipulation worldwide is already possessed by the devil. So that's why the story lends itself to use a bank and to use someone that is sleazy. And one would assume that that whole industry is like that.
Okay, now you spoke earlier about the heart problems you had and the heart operation you had. Did that sort of make you reflect on your own mortality, perhaps? And is that why this film is such a sort of different film to the ones that have gone before?
No, I mean, I think that I knew that I'm vulnerable. I mean, vulnerable to injuries, vulnerable to illnesses and all those things. Also, to me, the heart problem was no surprise because my entire family, on my mother's side, had that problem. My grandmother died of the same problem because of a valve problem. My mother refused to have the operation, and she just said, when God calls me, he should have me. I don't want to have a surgery. And so I did not want to go that direction, and I wanted to fix it.
But you were always aware you had that kind of, if you like, a genetic time bomb kind of ticking away.
Yeah, I always knew that was our problem. Each family has their own little medical history, and that was ours. That was on my mother's side, so I knew that. So it was not really a big surprise. It's just, you never like an operation like that, because there's still a chance there that you may never wake up. And that really would have pissed me off, believe me.
Yeah. I bet.
Oh, I would have been really mad.
Well, if you died, you'd be mad.
Exactly. Mad in heaven.
Yeah. Just raging in heaven.
Raging.
Yeah. God help him.
Exactly.
How does it affect what sort of stunts and things you do on set now?
Well, I think that one of the things, like I said earlier, it was important for me to do a big film like this to show that I can do the same stunts. I can run as fast. I can have the energy. And then also, as you know, the stunts are dangerous. You deal with fire in this movie. You deal with jumping out of helicopters and rappelling down on, and all those kind of things, and being run over by a train and all. So there's certain things you do with visual effects, but other things you have to actually do it, and in order to be believable. So my wife worries about it many times, and my kids.
Well, knowing your mentality as well of pushing it.
Exactly, always pushing the.
I think if I was a relative of yours, I'd be worried.
Right, and that's why also when I bring the kids to the set and have them do their homework and hang out with me on the set, I don't bring them when I usually do scenes like that or that appear to be dangerous, because I don't want them to worry about it.
You are 52 now.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
That's okay. Looking like a stud.
Yeah. Thank you. How much longer can you be an action hero, do you think?
Well, it really depends. I mean, we have just seen recently Sean Connery in one, and, you know, he's 70 or something.
I think it's better, actually.
And he's fantastic. I think Clint Eastwood did action movies in his 60s. I think you can do it. It depends, you know, in what kind of a physical shape you're in. And also, you know, I'm not obsessed about the fact of staying in the action genre. If there's a time where that doesn't work as well, I can go with do other things, you know, and I think it will be a very interesting challenge, because why always do the same thing? I think you do the things as long as you think it can entertain people. When you feel like that this doesn't entertain people anymore, or that you maybe are too old for this, I can't even imagine I'm saying that. I was just recently 19 years old, and now we're sitting here talking about, it could be that I'm too old someday. But anyway...
It feels like that, does it?
I don't feel like that. I mean, I feel as young as you know, when I was 30. I mean, I'm full of energy and I can do all the physical things. But I say, should I get to that stage, you know, then I just change over, because, or maybe just stop completely with the whole thing, because, you know...
Is there something you enjoy about getting older?
I don't enjoy anything about getting older. No, I think...
Frankly, nothing. Apart from family. But
getting old is not for wimps, that I can tell you.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's you know, the very thought...
I think it's right up your street, then.
Well, no, exactly. It's the very thought about you know, even, let's assume you get to be 150 years old.
You've got plans, haven't you? You've got something at home, I think.
Exactly, a little cloning.
Yeah. Is that what you'll do?
No, but let's assume still each year you live, it's 1 year less, no matter what age you're going to become, you know. So that is kind of annoying, I think. And I think that you do think about that when you get to be over 50, unlike that when you're 30, and you never think about it.
Okay. And lastly, you know, the ambition you listed, you know, last of all, when we were talking about your ambitions when you were a 15-year-old in Austria, was going into politics. Do you still plan to get into politics somehow? What would be your step into that as the next bit of the Schwarzenegger story?
Well, it was not really my ambition then. My ambition was when I was 15 to become, you know, a star and an actor and make big money.
But when you're in Romford, you told this gentleman here, politics was there?
You know, I mean, anything, why not? But I mean, I think that my need today really is much more just helping people. You know, I think that I've, in the last...
Come on, when are you going to run?
15 years.
You've done everything else on the list that he said. Don't give me this last one was just thrown in, because I don't think you throw anything in gratuitously. When are you going to do it? Come on.
I do not have a plan, honestly. I don't have a plan.
Really?
No, I don't. I mean, my plan is right now to work with people. And because I think that politicians are falling short with the things that they are doing. I think that every time, you know, there are things going well in the country, they point their finger at themselves and say, we did it, this party did it, I did it, and all that. And then if there's a social ill in the country, and there's a shooting in a school or something like that, they point their fingers at Hollywood or at rock and roll music or at video games and all of those kind of things. It's, you know, it's a sick world. I mean, and then that's a problem why politicians, you know, are not being trusted. And, you know, when you read the statistics about who are the least trusted people, you know, politicians rank right along
number one, aren't they?
Those lists. And it's sad, you know, and I think so. Therefore, I think we all have, anyway, a responsibility in society to help one another. And so what I can do with the power that I've gained in the entertainment business, the power of influence over young kids, is it gives me a pleasure to then use that power on those kids and tell them, stay away from drugs, stay away from the violence, stay away from gangs, and go and educate yourself. And the more you help people, the more you see the social ills, and the more you want to get involved in even more. So it can just show you how many millions of people you can affect without running for office. So that's why I really don't know if that will lead to it or not.
I want you to vote. At the same time, send a message to Congress. At the same time, send a message to Pat Buchanan. Hasta la vista, baby. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you all, okay? I count on you on Tuesday. Bye.
Okay, last question. Are you a fan of British beef?
I mean, because you had the problem with the beef?
No, just generally, just the taste. Forget the politics, the taste of British beef.
I have my beef over in America, and I have my beef when I go to Germany. It's the German beef. When I come to England, I have the English beef, so it doesn't make any difference. I mean, as long as it's good.
You're going to do well in politics with an answer like that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you.
Well, that replaced Michael Moore, which will now be shown at a later date.